had the red in it, and then it looked like this red thing just continues on and on and on, but I really don't know where it comes from. I don't have a clue.
It's a really good color.
So, I don't know.
I want to thank you all because I love architecture, and much of what we see around us is very subliminal. And I think this afternoon you've really kind of opened our eyes to some of the things that you think about that we don't know that you think about. And I have a question for Oscar as well. I'm a great proponent of children traveling, and I wondered what you brought back from Europe when you went when you were a small child.
Boy, these are good questions. I think the thing I brought back, I remember Venice, going to Venice. Venice just stuck right in my mind, and I said to myself, when I find the right person in my life and I get married, I'm taking her to Venice. And so Venice it just sort of stuck there. And in all of my travel, let's see, in Germany, the thing that stuck in my mind there was the fact that they took out in the backyard, they had these composite piles, I guess, of where the animals, they brought all the stuff out from where the animals were and they piled it up, and then the sun would bake it, but in the morning you would see it begin to sort of start to have like a smoke that would come off the top of it, you know. And Switzerland, I just remembered at 10 years old was just sort of pristine and clean. And then and then my mother took me to the Louvre. And I was just fascinated by the painting. So I guess the thing that I brought back was just the memories, and they are constant. I mean, so one thing I'd like to say, because I work a lot with young people, is exposure is what we have to do, expose young people as much as we can to a lot of different things, because I think that's the thing that transforms them. If they're not exposed, they really don't know about it. So that trip was just very important to me. So I didn't bring back physically anything. I brought back everything in my mind, I guess.
Hello. General question for the panel is, most of your presentations look like they were retrospectives, and I was wondering if, as you progressed and evolved, how your artistic expression, both in terms of your art and your architecture, was affected by technology, both in terms of tools and the materials that became available. If you saw something and went, aha, I can use that, or if you generally find yourself searching for something that just isn't there and you're waiting for somebody to make it. How does technology affect your ability to produce your art and architecture as you've gone through these evolutions?
You should talk about that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see. I think it's just moving so fast, you know? How do we keep up with it? I know as a teacher that the students teach me. You know, they're the ones really keeping up with all of these changes, both with the use of the computer and digital fabrication. And then I think that has really started to change the way that we design. I think that digital fabrication is incredibly exciting, and the notion of a prefabricated house, I think, is one that has great promise, and I think there are some amazing prototypes out there. But just specifically with, for example, on the Village Vets project, that was our first Revit building. And that is a completely different way of thinking about architecture. You're really having to come up with much earlier very concrete ideas about what materials you will use, and the spatial experience, I think, is really incredibly advanced, so much more than a program like SketchUp. But all of that has happened in the last 4 or 5 years. So I think this is still at its infancy. It's just moving so fast, and that's why the ideas are so important, because there's really no way to keep up with that. But I think harnessing it and bringing it into the studio as a way of thinking differently is what should be done.
It's time for maybe one more question.
I was actually pretty glad I was able to see all these different, all your different backgrounds and everything. And speaking about backgrounds, how is having, I see that you all have many different disciplines and a lot of different backgrounds coming up before you got to architecture. How have those different backgrounds helped mold what you've done in architecture throughout your careers?